Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Osman. In this week's episode, there's a new Votran route in New Smyrna Beach. Health community leaders meet to discuss the area's opioid epidemic, and we have details on a trip to view offshore birds. Later on in the program, Joanne Magley talks with Ray Manchester from Volusia County's Beach Safety. Those segments and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. Stay tuned. Beginning June 25th, there will be more wheels on the bus going round and round. Votran will institute a new fixed route bus Route 44, which will serve the main corridor of New Smyrna Beach, running east-west on State Road 44.
The council, under the council's direction, they had a mini budget workshop. They looked at unmet need, and this was one of the ones that was one of the priorities that cropped to the top. So now what we're doing is installing fixed route to connect with the flex service, so they'll both work in tandem. That way you'll have better and more service, more connectivity. So we're excited about that as well.
Construction of permanent stops is in progress, and the estimated completion is July 27th. Until permanent stops are built, a flag down system along the route will be in place for passengers to ride the bus. As with all new service launches, schedule times remain flexible. Riders are encouraged to visit votran.org/ridertools for real-time bus tracking.
After you watch this film, we want you to talk about it. We want you to talk to your parents, to your relatives, to your friends, to your brothers and sisters.
And that's exactly what more than 50 local leaders did recently at a town hall meeting hosted by One Voice for Volusia. These community partners viewed a documentary on the life of an opioid addict. It's titled Chasing the Dragon, a reference to the cycle of addiction that develops after using opiates just one time. The film was produced in 2016 by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
We thought the best approach would be to let you hear the truth. No filter, no censors, just the straight facts from people who have lived with the hard consequences of opioid abuse.
The film's content is aimed at educating students and young adults about the dangers of opioid addiction. But it primarily was adults who got an education at the recent viewing at the Department of Health in Volusia County. The film not only educated viewers, it also served as a conversation starter between federal, state, and local officials.
One Voice for Volusia's role in the community really is to connect our community to the resources that are already available, connect our providers to one another so that they're making accurate referrals, so they're gaining the same information at the same time, and then mobilize to make the right decisions, to mobilize to make the right referrals.
The opioid and prescription drug abuse epidemic is sweeping the country. Volusia County is no exception. In 2017, 87 people in Volusia County died from opioid poisoning. These deaths were caused by heroin, methadone, and other prescription opioids. And the death counts here in Volusia County are on the rise. To facilitate networking and collaborative partnerships, the discussion panel included representatives from the Drug Enforcement Agency, the FBI, the U.S. Attorney, Stuart Marchman Act Behavioral Services, the Volusia County Council, and the Volusia County Sheriff's Office. Daytona Beach Police Chief Craig Capri also joined the discussion.
At one point, everybody has their own view, but the thing is everybody here together and we're talking about it. So I think you get people together, everybody respects everybody's opinions, but at the end of the day, everybody has the same goal. We want to have a safe community where people aren't dying from drug overdoses. So when you have the people at least at the table, that's a huge, huge first step.
The reason it's important that people know the truth behind opioid addiction is that there's a lot of misunderstanding. Number one, we still have a country that more people than not treat opioid addiction like other drug addictions as a moral weakness rather than as an illness. As long as that's true, we're going to have great difficulty treating this disease.
And so for us to just be able to put this out to our current members and have an attendance of 170 and to have the caliber of speakers was something that we already have available to us, and we felt it was really important that we stepped in and made that decision to bring this group together, only to have them come to our next Substance Abuse Task Force meeting. That'll be on June 28th, and where we'll start addressing some of the resources that we want to see happen. We're going to break that up into prevention, to treatment, to recovery groups.
If you would like to view the film Chasing the Dragon, you can see it online at fbi.gov/chasingthedragon. Tobacco used to be a common sight in the dugout and in the stands at baseball parks across the country. But the Daytona Tortugas have decided it's time to stuff the snuff and all other tobacco products. Dr. Holly Smith explains in this week's Community Health Matters.
Right back to the pitcher. He holds the man at second.
Baseball, it's a game that's been around for more than 100 years in the United States, and it's a sport that historically has been linked to tobacco use. Well, times are changing in Daytona Beach, or to be more accurate, times have changed thanks to a courageous move by the Daytona Tortugas at Jackie Robinson Ballpark.
You look at Jackie Robinson Ballpark as being a pioneer for the area. You know, Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier here, and now the Tortugas continuing to do, game-changing things here in our community.
The switch-up was not a surprise to the on-field crew. The players, the umps, and the coaches, they've been tobacco-free for several years thanks to minor league baseball. But the decision to strike out tobacco completely from the stands, the fans, and other off-field areas is not one that came easily.
It was a really tough decision, and we had numerous conversations here internally with our staff, with some of our fans, with our season ticket holders, with some of our corporate partners, to have the discussion and just see if this was the right step for the ballpark, and overwhelmingly positive. Yeah, it was this is the right time, and this is the right time to make a move, and really to continue to change the game here in Daytona Beach.
Now that the ballpark is completely tobacco-free, no one inside the gates can use tobacco. That means no smoking, no dipping, and no vaping. If you want to use any of these tobacco products, you will need to step outside the gates. Now, it may look like the Tortugas threw a curveball to Big Tobacco and its historical relationship with the game, but today that pitch looks like a game winner to the Tortugas front office.
Overall, it's been 95% positive. We focus on family-friendly, a really healthy atmosphere, and going tobacco-free was a really big step in the right direction.
Going completely tobacco-free can require a bit of groundwork. The Tortugas had a little help before launching the tobacco change-up at the Jack. I guess you could say it was a team effort.
The health department here in Volusia County played such a vital role, and Tobacco-Free Florida continued to be really strong supporters in supporting this policy, but then also educating. I think that's a really big piece of this process, is why are we doing this and what sort of concerns come with this policy. And so they've been really great supporters on the education of why this change happened.
We work with anyone who's willing to change their policies to move towards a smoke-free policy. Typically it's a tobacco-free worksite, which is someone that wants to either strengthen or change their policy to be a stricter tobacco policy. So tobacco-free grounds, tobacco-free indoor. It can basically be any employer in the community. We also work with multi-unit housing facilities such as apartments and condominiums. Anywhere where your wall touches your neighbor's wall, we can help you turn your policy into a smoke-free housing policy. But if anyone in the community wants to adopt a smoke-free policy or change or strengthen their policy, they can absolutely reach out to us at the Department of Health. And your local tobacco program's number is 386-274-0601, and we can help you change your policy, provide you any information you need to move your policy forward.
If you would like more information on how the Florida Department of Health can help you create a tobacco-free policy for where you work or for where you live, log on to our website. The address is volusiahealth.com for the Florida Department of Health right here in Volusia County. I'm Dr. Holly Smith.
After recent heavy rains, mosquitoes are on the move. Did you know that if a container can retain water, a mosquito can lay eggs in it? A small amount of water can lead to big problems. Take a walk around your property and tip and toss any standing water. Be a buzzkill. Put a stop to mosquitoes.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Summer's here, but there's definitely no summer break planned at Volusia County's Ocean Center. Recently, the Florida Trucking Association hosted its annual 3-day truck driving competition at the Ocean Center. This is the third year the association held its annual event in Volusia County. The competition is an official qualifier for the National Truck Driving Championship, where hundreds of companies compete for the ultimate bragging rights on the road.
So this gives our trucking companies the ability to honor their drivers who have excelled during the course of the year, have put safety first, but also I think there's a little bit of, we want to show off our industry.
Next up, CEO Fighting Game Championships. This is an e-gaming championship that will be held June 29th through July 1st. This event was previously held in Orlando, where it outgrew the venue. Over the past few years, the event has had more than 10,000 attendees from 47 states and 30 countries. This championship will fill the entire 200,000 square feet of the Ocean Center and feature an artist alley, exhibit and vendor area, the Jabaliland Arcade with more than 60 games and more than 14 tournaments and finals in the CEO ring. This year will also feature a professional wrestling show hosted by wrestling star Kenny Omega. This event is open to the public. For more information, you can visit ceogaming.org.
We're excited to host it for the first time here, and we're excited to actually see it. I'll be watching it myself, and just to see how it all works. And but again, the fact that they're here and they want to make us their home for future years is very exciting to us.
For a complete list of upcoming events at the Ocean Center, visit oceancenter.com and click on the Events tab. Experience the excitement of ocean birding during a Gulfstream adventure as the Marine Science Center hosts an ocean birding trip Saturday, July 28th. Led by birding expert Michael Brothers, participants will travel to the center of the Gulf Stream about 60 miles offshore. The trip is on the Canaveral Princess, an 85-foot boat with excellent observation areas on the upper deck, bow, and stern.
And so these are opportunities for the public to get out to where these oceanic birds actually live. So often at the Marine Science Center at our bird hospital, we'll get in birds that get blown in from the open ocean. But on this trip, we're going to where those birds actually live.
Participants should plan to meet at 5:15 a.m. at the dock between Rusty's and Milliken's Reef restaurants at 670 Glen Cheek Drive, Cape Canaveral. The boat departs at 6 a.m. and will return at 6 p.m. Participants should bring food and beverages, seasickness medication, and sunscreen. Food service will not be available on the boat.
The opportunity to go out offshore provides visitors who may never have been on the ocean before a chance to see some of these amazing creatures that we have off of Volusia County's coastline.
The cost is $265 per person. To register, contact Michael Brothers at 386-304-5545 or mbrothers@volusia.org. Send a check made payable to Friends of the Marine Science Center to Marine Science Center, 100 Lighthouse Drive, Ponce Inlet, Florida, 32127. For more information about the Marine Science Center, you can visit marinesciencecenter.com. Utility boxes are unassuming and monochromatic, blending into the background. Not so in downtown DeLand, where civic leaders collaborated with local artists to transfer these blank canvases into works of art.
We have 12 boxes throughout the downtown area, from Howry all the way to Wisconsin. The idea for this project came from some trips that I had throughout the country. I felt that we could do something here in DeLand with our utility boxes, which are basically meaningless structures other than traffic light signals. I've been involved with this from day one. So seeing the one that was fully implemented over here at Indiana, East Indiana, with the postcards. John Wilton and I put that together, and I was absolutely, I'll say, enthralled by what I saw. John has been the, I'll say, driving force. Well, it may have been my idea. John is the one that really pulled it together and made it happen.
My involvement in this project is not so much about me, it's about cultural tourism and aesthetic stewardship in the city of DeLand. So any way I can work to get that accomplished, that's what I'm going to do. This project was a collaboration between the Museum of Art DeLand and the City of DeLand. The City Commission understands the value of these projects. The staff has worked with us to do tremendous work in getting everything done. So that's really what it takes, is cooperation from the people who can make it happen and allow people like us to inform them of what we would like to do, and they figure out how we can go forward. When we finally completed the first of the 14 boxes that we've wrapped, it was pretty amazing because we'd been working on this for 3 years up to that point to get it accomplished. The way the world works, we're inundated with visual information. So I would bet that most people aren't even aware of these traffic boxes on the corner. They tune them out. Once we dress them up, then all of a sudden it's something worth looking at. It's something to think about while you're stopped at the corner. It's a little piece of beauty that wasn't there, as opposed to something they just tuned out because it was ugly.
The reaction has been extremely positive. I can't say enough about it. I've had no negative comments. People absolutely love the artwork, they love the location, they love the surprise when they come to another box. So it's been very, very, very positive.
All these projects that we're doing for public art certainly help with the notoriety of the city. It all works together to make this a greater place than it ever has been.
Because it again puts emphasis on art in downtown DeLand. I love it.
Let's join Community Information Director Joanne Magley in the studio with her guest, Ray Manchester, Director of Volusia County's Beach Safety.
Thanks, Amber. Well, summer is here, and that means locals and tourists are flocking to the beautiful beaches of Volusia County. So joining us today in the studio is Ray Manchester. He is the director of the county's Beach Safety Ocean Rescue Division. Hi, Ray.
Hi there. How are you?
Great. Thanks for being here today. So, busy holiday weekend you're gearing up for. Tell us kind of what has to get in, what goes into play to be ready for such big crowds.
Well, you know, summer is our busy season, and starting in Memorial Day, actually, that was our opening day, our opening weekend. So we're fully in summer mode, all hands on deck. The crowds are here, the people are here, all of our lifeguards are coming back into town, and our seasonal people are coming back. So it's actually a good time for us. We have, you know, this is what we train for, this is what we get ready for, this is what we staff up for, and that's what we have all that equipment for, all those towers that are out there. So we are good to go. We're full speed ahead.
So you had some lifeguard recruitment classes, and that's how you bring in the new lifeguards that aren't coming back from previous employment.
Right.
Are you still looking to fill additional spots in those lifeguard positions?
Well, we've had a couple of recruit classes. We had pretty good recruitment, and in addition to our new recruits, we have our guards that are returning. When they get out of school, it varies, for different schools or whatnot, but they kind of come in, and through June we start filling it up, and we get ready for 4th of July, which is coming up, and peak staffing, and here we are. So.
And it's so important for folks to swim in front of a lifeguard. We always say swim in front of a lifeguard, and there's many reasons for that. The lifeguards have a they have a great vantage point. They can see things in the water that regular people out there swimming and such, they can't see. But in addition to the swimming aspect of the swimming safety, tell us how else the lifeguards are help to our beachgoers.
Well, I say this a lot. Our lifeguards are our beach ambassadors. They are the front line for Volusia County government, and they're out there, and we go under the assumption that not everybody knows the beach. We kind of go under the assumption that not everybody knows the beach environment. So they are there. They're not only looking for any type of hazards in the water or rip currents or whatnot, but they're out there to kind of show people what to do and what not to do. Swimming in front of a lifeguard. Maybe don't swim over here. There's a rip current over there. Stay over here. Keeping an eye on children sometimes when parents are, their attention is elsewhere. So there's a whole range of things that they're out there for.
And recently in the news, there's been a lot of talk about these jellyfish stings that have been happening, more so than probably on a routine weekend basis. I think there's been your numbers are up.
We've had a few thousand documented jellyfish encounters. Jellyfish, you can't predict when they come. You see them up on the beach and you're like, oh, there's jellyfish out there, so we get ready for it. So we've had several weeks of jellyfish in the area, and we've had hundreds of stings per day, and luckily 99.9% of these are just irritations, and nobody's had any real bad reactions to them. And
so we also tell folks that if they do get a sting by a jellyfish, to come to the lifeguard tower.
Come to the lifeguard. They'll check you out. They'll be looking for any kind of allergic reaction, which can manifest itself as your tongue swelling, hard to breathe, that kind of thing too. But they have vinegar, good old-fashioned vinegar to put on that sting, and that helps it go away a little faster than it normally would.
Yeah, and we tell people don't rub it, and
don't rub it. Don't put fresh water on it. Don't put sand on it. Don't do anything to it.
So a lot of people, when they come to the beach, there's areas where you can drive onto the beach and park and have all your belongings there. There's other areas where you can park off beach and be on beach areas that are drive-free zones. Let's talk a little bit about the parking on the beach, especially on busy weekends, holiday weekends. Parking is at a premium on the beach. There are some challenges that come along with that when the tides come up and there's no room for cars. So what do you want people to know if they plan on coming to the beach, driving onto the beach, and having the best beach day that they can?
Even though we're all lifeguards, technically lifeguards, a big portion of our job is traffic management. We have thousands and thousands of cars that come down on the beach, and we want them to stay at 10 miles an hour, put their headlights on, keep their windows down. That's for pedestrian safety. And when you park, only park in one spot. And when you do park and you get out, don't set up your stuff in the next parking spot. Go down by the water or stay behind your car or something like that, because we need all the available parking to help accommodate all of our beach guests.
So you actually want people to set up their belongings right behind their vehicle, or cross the traffic lane and go into that section of the beach where they're out of the way of traffic. And as you mentioned, not next to your vehicle. And sometimes you will go through and enforce and tell folks that they can't put their belongings in a parking spot.
Right. We would like people to set up their belongings in any place on the beach where there's no parking or driving. So any other part of the beach, to kind of simplify it. And that a large portion of our job is enforcing that. It's in the beach code. It's an ordinance, so we have to enforce it. A lot of people either aren't aware of it, or there are plenty of people that are aware of it, and we have to do our job. And it takes up a lot of time, but a lot of people don't like being told to move, but it makes for the best experience for everybody.
And in your defense, you all are doing so much on the beach, like you said, the traffic, the beach safety, ambassadors. So you might not always be able to get to some folks to tell them to move from that parking spot. and where their belongings are. And I know some people get a little frustrated.
We try to get them before they set up, because there's nothing that's harder than after you're all set up and you have the tent and the chairs and you have to move. So we try to get them, ahead of that time. And then, you have to go back throughout the day. As people leave, other people fill in, and it's kind of an ongoing process.
So, we're talking about a little bit driving on the beach, and it's very important. You mentioned the 10 miles an hour, but it's really important for folks, especially if they're not from the area, to just pay super attention to the driving part, because as we know, the beach is a big playground, and really it's like a playground in the middle of a street. And small children don't necessarily realize when they're darting out to go get their ball or to go back to their vehicle. I think that a lot of times, that's a case where they're trying to get back to their car and they're not looking.
You're right. It's like a street actually in the middle of a playground, and we have about almost 15 miles of drivable beach. And it's like a big school zone also. There's people walking around, there's kids running around. People let their guard down when they're at the beach. It's a place to relax, but they have to keep in mind that there is 2 lanes of traffic in most parts that they have to be aware of. And good safety practices apply. Look both ways, and pedestrians have the right, of course, but that's why we want everybody to go 10 miles an hour. Keep their lights on. The lights on are to help children identify vehicles. The windows down are to help drivers, hear things, hear kids. If mom is chasing the child down the beach, and that just makes them aware of what's going on around them.
And before we wrap it up with you, we want folks to also know that we have a Facebook page for beach safety as well as Twitter, and that's really the best way for people to get up-to-date information on what's happening at the beach. You do a post every day talking about the conditions and maybe high tide, low tide, because that affects when the beach might be closed for driving.
Right. Our social media stuff has really been, we've been really proactive with that, because nothing is, we don't want to disappoint people that come to the beach and they find out that they can't access it for whatever reason. Right. So with the live social media updates, we're able to hopefully redirect people or make them aware so they can adjust accordingly.
And I'd like to say that people can go on also volusia.org/beaches, and there's a lot of information on the beach safety page, but they can plan their trip ahead of time. If they want to go to a non-driving portion of the beach, they can scope out where those sections are, or just other ramps that are alternatives from the busier main thoroughfares that can get them on the beach a little quicker.
A lot of people like to go to their ramp and to the busy ramps, and I understand that, but every beach ramp is open now, so there are plenty of options out there. There really are. It's great. It helps with the traffic. It doesn't funnel people into just certain places. It helps spread things out. So take advantage of it. They're only a couple blocks away from maybe your favorite ramp, so it might not be nearly as busy. So you got to try that out.
All right. Well, Ray Manchester, Director of the county's Beach Safety Ocean Division, thank you so much for the information today.
Anytime. You're welcome.
Amber, back to you.
Thanks, Joanne, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, you can feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Osmond, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.